think I was just in a paranoid state of mind.
Feeling like we're coming across as a bunch of amateurs. I couldn't help but feel like we're fucking up.
If I'm not able to do this, then what are people going to say about me? Now people are going to think I'm a fraud. And
I needed that hug more than I needed that hug that day.
My own ego was in my way.
This is The Long Run. I'm Sachin Lakti, 48 years old, and I just ran over 3,700 kilometers across Canada, averaging 50 kilometers a day to raise awareness and funds for mental health. Along the way, we had thousands of conversations with Canadians, from first responders to everyday people, about what's really going on beneath the surface. This podcast isn't just about running, it's about resilience, purpose, and how we learn to keep moving forward in the long run.
Dude, I'm so excited for today's episode.
Me too, man. We were looking at some of the footage from the run to kind of reflect back on, and man, there's so much happened that I just wasn't even there for.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't even there. So I'm watching and listening, and man, it is cool.
Yeah, I think like with like a lot of things in life as well, you kind of go in with an expectation. So when we started this podcast, we kind of knew that the first couple of episodes are going to be kind of slow because we're sort of setting up a base, but the fun and the story really starts to take shape from this episode onwards, right? But just to backtrack a bit, it's also been a really busy week for us.
It has.
So let's talk a little bit about that. What have we been up to?
Oh man, we've been up to quite a bit, man. Like we have a lot of stuff that we wanted to work on. One of them was finalizing the 6-week course, or at least the curriculum around it. So that's done now. So now we are trying to figure out how to deliver that. So we're working on that. And then yesterday we met with the City of Surrey, the council, to speak about what the run was, what the impact was, and then also the things that we learned from the run and how we can be of more service to the City of Surrey. And why City of Surrey? I live in Surrey. I'm from Surrey, and I wanted to give back to the city that I live in.
Yeah.
And so connected with the council there to see what we could do to be of service with the things that we learned from the run.
Yeah, exactly. It was the Council of Livability, Social Equity and Public Safety Committee. And firstly, a big thank you to Mayor Brenda Locke for making this happen. A couple of months ago, you had a meeting with her. And as we kind of had some time to decompress from everything that we learned on the run, just seeing the scale of the mental health challenges that millions of Canadians are facing and seeing it face to face, we just want to be more service. How can we take what we've learned, scale it up to help as many people as possible? And she made the recommendation to present to this delegation, and they were the right people because these are upstanding citizens of Surrey that serve in various capacities, business owners, heads of the RCMP and fire and all of that. And it was kind of cool because it wasn't what I expected, at least.
Yeah, me too.
But I think we kind of winged it a little bit, but just spoke from the heart. And hopefully this translates into some action where we can get involved in serving the community at large.
Yeah, and fundamentally that's what we want to do, right?
Yeah.
And, if we could give back to the city of Surrey in a way that fulfills their mandate, then cool, man, let's do it.
Yeah. So I'm excited. And so coming to today's episode. So this is episode 5. The date is June 18th. You finished an 80K day from Vancouver to Langley. Just about. Finished pretty late that night. I think it was about 11:30 at night. By the time you actually went to bed, and you had to get up and do it all again, all over again.
Yeah, like I said on a previous podcast, I can't remember which episode it was, but the first 3 days were a blur for me, just because I was, a bunch of different reasons. But if I were really to highlight what it was, I was tired and sleepy, all that kind of stuff. But I don't know if it was ultimately that. I think I was just in a paranoid state of mind. of like a fight or flight kind of mentality. And so it was a blur for me, and I was on high alert. And so yeah, like we were mentioning at the beginning, we were reflecting back on some of the videos, so I was like looking at things for the first time almost today.
Yeah. Paranoia is a pretty strong word. I can understand confused, I can understand dazed, but why specifically paranoid? Because to me, the image that I'm getting in is someone who's paranoid is always on edge, and anything can just kind of trigger them.
Well, I was kind of like, I was there, I think. If I'm being honest and transparent, I'd say I was there. And, there could be a billion reasons or no reasons for that. But, if I'm being absolutely honest, I think, I was worried on what others might think, on how we were moving forward and how we were doing the run. Even if people weren't, that was kind of in my head. And so, I wanted to, and I had an image of what the run was, or what I wanted the run to be for years. And it turned out really in the first few days to be entirely different than what I had anticipated. So I was just on high alert. I was paranoid. I was looking around, and like we said in previous podcasts, we were all kind of strangers.
Yeah.
Like we all, like, yeah, I met you in February, but like that was only a couple months ago, and we were entering into something that was really, really challenging. A lot of stress for everybody, and not everyone knew each other well. And now we're in an environment where we have to work together in a way that requires a lot of execution. So yeah, I was paranoid, man.
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure it was done right.
Yeah. Because of all the ways we saw this playing out, the way it played out was not it.
No. And look, we can say how it is and all that kind of stuff, but in that moment, it wasn't.
It didn't feel good.
No.
It didn't feel good at all, because I remember feeling in that moment, specifically on that day, feeling like we're coming across as a bunch of amateurs running around like headless chickens, and that's me being kind, that we didn't know what we were doing. And I couldn't help but feel like we're fucking up.
Well, listen, some of that is true. I mean, if we're being honest, some of that is true. We didn't know what we were doing, really, and who does in an environment like that? We had a direction and we had an ultimate goal, but in the moment as we were doing it, yeah, I mean, no, we didn't. And how could anyone expect to know that we knew what we were doing? Look, I knew what to do from a certain perspective as it related to the running piece, but there's so many other things to think about than just that.
Yeah.
And also for you and everybody else who was in that vehicle, that RV, like, yeah, man, like, we didn't know what we were doing, and we still were trying to figure it out. So I'm not saying it's bad or good. What I'm saying, yeah, we needed to figure it out, and that's what we were trying to do.
Yeah. And I feel like there's an analogy there for a lot of how things kind of play out in life as general as well. I think, at least in my case, there's been a lot of times where you can't see clearly. You don't know what the next step is, but it's super important in that moment to just keep moving forward. And that's what I remember. At least that's how I consoled myself on that day. In that process, when I woke up in the morning, the first person that I was so glad to meet was Ian Mawson. So for the audience who doesn't know who he is, why don't you tell us about him?
Yeah, Ian's awesome, man. He's a correctional officer in Penticton, BC, and Penticton in BC. And I met him a few years ago at a BMO half marathon, and I think he had been following me on Instagram, and we were in the same line on the race, and we started chatting, and we just kind of started a friendship from there. And then over the last couple of years, he and I would communicate from time to time. He would hit me up for suggestions on training and whatnot, and I would hit him up for various different things that I was looking to get some guidance on. And ultimately, he ended up doing his own fundraising event for Wounded Warriors Canada before I obviously ran across Canada, and so I supported him in that. And so he wanted to come support me on my run. And when I saw him, man, it was like it was a good feeling, because he was probably the only one there that understood to a certain degree what I was undertaking. So that felt good, and it was just nice to have somebody there to support in a way. Well, taking time out of their own life for one,
Yeah.
and then supporting as a crew member, man. It was really nice to have him there.
Yeah, so he very generously agreed to run with you for a couple of days all the way to Kelowna.
Yeah.
And the way I think of Ian is take every stereotype that you have of a corrections officer and the exact opposite. That's who he is. He's like this Zen, almost like guru type figure.
Yeah.
Super calm, super just like has this great calming voice.
Yeah.
And we're going to have him on the podcast as well in a couple of episodes, and we're excited to hear from him. So that's where he jumped on our little RV and our little troop, and he was a big support. That morning we had breakfast at Denny's, thanks to Sandman. And Anup, your physio, showed up, and we just kind of hit the road. So walk us through that.
Yeah, we had breakfast at the Denny's, which was awesome, man, because I got loaded up. I started trying to figure out what should be my morning breakfast routine from Denny's, so I was dialing that in too. And then we kicked off after the Denny's staff signed the RV. And we kicked off, me, Anup, and Ian. We started moving. And it was nice to see Anup too, because she's not a runner. And so for me, it's pretty cool, right? Like someone who's not a runner, but values what we were doing and wanted to be part of it and wanted to support. And so, yeah, we kicked off, and I was feeling pretty beat up already, right? To be honest. I wasn't feeling 100%, but then we got moving. The weather was relatively good. We had a mixture of rain that day, but it's relatively good, and we started moving.
Yeah. So we hit Highway 1, making our way towards Hope, thinking that that's basically the goal for today. But we had a hiccup along the way. I want to play a clip from that day, specifically when we recorded you, I think, taking your first break. And just react in the moment and tell us what's going on.
Sure.
So this is the clip. This was at about 11:30 in the morning. And here you go.
How we doing?
Doing all right. So obviously the last couple of days didn't go as planned, at least for my expectations. When you're doing something like this, things can happen, and you might need to recalibrate in the moment and reflect back on the last couple of days and see how we could have done things better. So that's what we're constantly doing as a team here. So for today, we made some adjustments. I love people coming out. I love people encouraging. But I'm going to probably limit my conversations so that I can stay focused and keep moving. Number one. Number two, dialing in my nutrition a lot better than I had the first day and the second day. And my pacing, I'm trying to work with something a bit different. So I'm doing a bit of a push for 200 meters and then slow it down for 800 meters. So we're trying to keep in and around anywhere from 7 minutes a kilometer to 9.5 is the range. So we're going to try to keep it around 8.5 minutes, but that's the goal. So over the last 48 hours, we reflected, how do we do things better? Always learning, always adapting and overcoming. So that's what we're trying to do, and that's what we're trying to demonstrate. Yeah, man. So in that moment, man, I had a million things going through my head at that time. And ultimately, I think what I was feeling in that moment was like, what are people going to think? Because we were making some adjustments on the fly. We had to figure out how to navigate this properly, pacing, kilometers, all of those things. And for me, at this stage, I was really beat up. I was really exhausted. And my body obviously hadn't adjusted to the workload quite yet. And that was getting in my head. And I was like, man, I was running about 200 meters, and then like 800 meters was like a speed walk. I was like, man, this is like, what the hell's going on here? I put all this effort into training. What's going on with my body? And that's what was going through my head. I was like, man, am I going to be able to do this? Like, these are the feelings and the thoughts that are going through my head. Am I going to be able to make it? This is day 3. I'm running 200 meters and walking the rest. And then I started feeling like, man, if I'm not able to do this, then what are people going to say about me? Am I even the person that I think I am? Am I able to demonstrate who I think I am or who I feel I am? And that started cascading down to a spiral of like, oh, now people are going to think I'm a fraud. And it was a lot of external kind of what people might think. And so that in that video, that's what I can see that I'm feeling.
In that moment when you're feeling like a fraud, 3 days in, feeling a lot of external pressure, hearing that maybe people are chirping and saying things, what did you say to yourself in that moment to just keep going? Because maybe the easier thing would have been to just like hit reset.
Yeah. I mean, listen, it's a good question. So I go back to my purpose and my why. And then I go back to some mantras that I would say to myself over and over again. And then I would say, okay, what are we trying to do? What's the goal for this run? And I would remind myself of those things in the moment. And so, saying my mission statement, I want to maximize my skills for everyone around me and to affect permanent positive change. Cool. Remind myself. Okay, what's the ultimate goal here? To raise awareness and funds for mental health. Okay, cool. Let's do that. Let's focus on that. Deeds, not words, right? So actions before chirping. And then always forward. That's what I would repeatedly say to myself in moments of doubt, in moments of fear, in moments of confusion. Just going back to that.
Yeah. Speaking of those moments, the next moment after this was a fun one because it fundamentally changed the trajectory of the run.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us what happened?
So yeah, obviously, typically when people do runs like this, they're running on the highway. And so we were running on the highway, Highway 1. Now, I want to preface this by saying I've done runs on the highway before. I've gotten approvals and things like that whenever necessary. So in this one, obviously, I reached out before to the authorities to ensure that we were able to. And in doing so, I also didn't want to wait to hear. So I was doing multiple things at the same time. So didn't really hear back from the authorities regarding permitting and all that kind of stuff. But I didn't want to get stopped. So I was like, okay, we're going to keep planning the event. So we're on the highway and the RCMP show up and let us know that, hey, they've got some notifications that we're on the highway. We're running. It's unsafe for me as a runner. And we had the RV on the highway as well. So I suspect people were also not pleased with having to slow down on the highway. And so they asked us to step off, and we wouldn't be able to continue on the highway unless we had those authorizations. So we spent some time that day emailing the authorities, the RCMP, the BC transport authorities, all the different things, all the different sort of organizations that we would need to. We got some information, but we weren't able to actually move things forward. And so that was going to put a pause to everything. And for me, that wasn't an option. Like we had to keep moving. I didn't want to pause anything. So what we had to figure out is alternatives. So we had to, day 3, jump off the highway kiboshing all the plans and all the routing and everything we had created. We had to recreate in real time how we were going to move forward. So we found offshoots, side roads, and we had to kind of make those pivots. And then as a team, so as I'm doing that, the team is now discussing, okay, well, how do we do this moving forward? Like, are we going to be able to do this across the country? Are we not allowed to stay on the highways? Like, we didn't want to have the event canceled altogether. And that was a fear for me and the team. So we had to figure out over the next couple days what this is going to turn into, because we didn't want to be in Alberta or Manitoba or Saskatchewan or any other province and then say, oh, you got to jump off the highway, we're canceling the whole event. So we had to consider all these options, and eventually, not this day, but eventually, I think by the time we got to Hope, we did come to a realization on how to move forward.
Yeah. And this moment where 3 days in, feeling like shit, running on fumes, barely getting by, feeling that paranoia, and then being pulled over by the RCMP felt like, holy shit, like this is, how can it get any worse? But to me, this was so pivotal, because in that moment, and you know, we have these clips where we're dealing with these officers, and all credit to the officers, they were incredible,
and no beef, no hard feeling, nothing.
This was not like they're trying to shut us down. There was nothing of that. They were super respectful. We were super respectful. They saw that we were raising money even for the Wounded Warriors, which works with veterans and first responders. They knew who you were. They knew who Ian was, because Ian also has a history of doing these things. There was nothing there. It was very polite, but we had to be respectful. So we said, cool, let's just take the side road. In fact, I think it was this officer who suggested that. About 2 kilometers in of that side road, we met this lady. She was sitting in our car. You had passed by. We were in the RV behind her. And she said, would you guys like some pita bread?
Yeah, you know, so just on that, It was a side road. I'm running down. I see this lady. I think she had a pickup truck or a van or something like that, and it was
black SUV.
The back of it was opened up, and she had like catered food prepared there. And I looked to the side, and I was like, "Oh, that's cool." And I kept moving. I kept going, and then she saw me doing that, and she turned around and looked at the RV, and then she engaged you guys, and you tell us what happened.
So we met this lady on the side of the road, who waved us down, and she was just like, can I get you guys something? I have some pita bread and hummus. And we were like, yeah, we'll take pita bread and hummus. And we had a quick conversation. She said, oh, you guys are doing this for mental health. And I don't specifically remember what we said in that moment, but I know that I gave her a big hug. And I said, hey, I needed that hug more than I needed that hug that day. And considering what happened, right, the way we started, it was just a quick interaction, about 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes, gave us some pita bread, hugged, spoke about what we were doing, and we went on our way. The next day, she sent us this DM, and this is what she said, word for word. Her name is Shauna Fraser. And she said, you guys are incredible and caught me exactly when I needed to see hope. I was sitting in my driveway on the phone with my friend who was telling me about the passing of a friend who took her life 2 days ago. I got off the phone, thought, what am I going to do with this pita? Looked up, Sach was running towards me. Your van followed and pulled in with hugs and love. It was within a minute of talking to my friend about the mental illness and desperation of a beautiful soul. Thank you guys for such an incredible moment. Hope you enjoyed the quick snack of pita and olives, and wish you all the best. Shauna.
Yeah, man, I think we were having signs on what the run should be, not what I wanted it to be. So people like Shauna and many others along the way really helped form what this run across Canada was. And they're the ones who actually created the route for us. They're the ones who actually told us what needs to happen.
Exactly. It was on this very road that it happened. And I think this is one of my favorite shots from the run, where we had the Canada flag there, and as you're kind of going past, this was the road where we met Shauna. And it happened literally right after an hour ago, when we were feeling like crap, thinking we've made a huge mistake. But it was almost as if the universe was saying, guys, stop, listen, this isn't about you. So Shauna was that first angel that just sent us a sign saying that we need to reassess how we're doing this and why we're doing this. this obviously meant we had to take a detour, and their opportunity, one of the charities that we supported, had organized for a group of kids to meet at this place called the Habitual Cafe that's run by this amazing couple, Clark and Kim. And we showed up, I think, about 3 hours late. Of that, the youth that they had organized, one young girl stayed back to meet with you. I'm going to play a clip of that first interaction with Maya's mum. That's the name of this young woman. And she also, I think, was a pivotal figure for what this run eventually became. I want you to walk us through what you were thinking in that moment as you met Maya's mum and we had that little interaction at Habitual. So here's the video, and let's play the clip.
Enough dressings, but
Yeah.
like I said, I can give you some extra ones if you need some on Western Canada.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Hi.
This lady, her daughter saw us on Instagram, and she does wound management.
Oh, amazing.
So she's
So
got
I'm
us a
a-
bunch of.
Yeah,
so
I'm a
kind.
global wound nurse, so I work for a global company, and we have very fine dressings, like very fine. So
Perfect person. I'm starting to develop a blister.
okay, so
Much appreciated.
yeah, I'll have to show you how to use them. There's a couple of them.
Okay.
I have a couple options, but then I live like right there, so I'm just gonna run home and
We're
get you
actually
some
just
more.
gonna hang out in the cafe for like
Yeah.
a couple of minutes, so
Yeah.
we can see you right there.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
no worries. And my
Yeah, got
daughter,
it.
my son is there. My
Hey, how are
daughter's
ya?
been waiting all day.
I'm sorry.
It's
I was a bit
okay.
late.
She's so excited.
Hey,
This
how are
is
you?
Riley.
Hi, Riley and such. Nice to meet you.
This is Riley, and then Maya's over there.
Okay.
She saw you on Instagram. She was just fired up.
Amazing.
So both
Oh.
my kids have autism and OCD. So we have a lot of
Yeah.
mental health advocacy happening in my family.
Amazing. Well,
Yeah.
same with my family.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. Well, we're all. Everyone here is affected in some capacity, and
Yeah.
we're all came together.
Yes, all
Good
of it,
for
dude.
you.
So,
Wow, that's really awesome.
Yeah.
Good for you. I'm really glad to see finally something, coming to light. So
Well,
it's
we're in-
awesome. Good.
thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah, let's say hi to the kids,
Yeah.
and then
Alright.
we'll all.
So yeah, what's going through my head there, bro? Like you just said, man, I was out of it. I was like, I'm just listening to my response to her. I'm like, what an idiot. I'm like, not her, me. I'm like, I'm such an idiot, because I'm looking at her. She's like, and I just finished running from where we, what was it, Langley to Abbotsford, and I wasn't. Unfortunately, in that specific moment, I wasn't 100% there. And what I heard was wound management. And I was like, oh, I got this brutal blister on my foot. This is going to work well. And then, but then she mentioned her kids. And then really, it took probably about 20 minutes to kind of just get myself settled again and then start absorbing a bit more. But she and her daughter, Maya, were with us the entire run.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is I was using what she gave us for the entire run, man.
Yeah,
like those blister packs and all that kind of stuff.
Super helpful.
Super helpful.
It's so weird. We didn't even think about
I
it.
didn't even think about it. Man, I was like, I'll be good. But you know why I didn't think about it?
Yeah.
In 5 years of training, I never had blisters like I did the first 3 days.
Wow.
And so I thought, okay, cool, I'm good. But for some reason, the first 3 days, I got brutal blister on my left foot, which was, again, unheard of for me. Like, normally I'm very prepared, or as prepared as I can be for things that might happen. I never got any blisters like that over 5 years.
That's insane.
Yeah.
And that led to us meeting Maya for the first time. And what a wonderful encounter. This is Maya right here. And what do you remember from this interaction, if you remember anything at all?
I remember meeting her. I remember how she was feeling and what her mother mentioned about her. And so I can understand how challenging it would be for her to be there, having the conversation, meeting with us. And she did it.
Yeah.
And she came out. And that was impactful for me too, man. Because, like, look, I'm old enough to be her dad, right? And so she saw us on social media and wanted to come out. And so for me, that was like the beginning stages of, like, understanding what we were doing. Like, oh, like, it might sound silly, but I, 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 like, it might sound sil might sound silly, but sometimes when I do these things, and when I was doing that in that moment, I wasn't thinking about how many people are going to see this on social media or the news or any of that. Like I wasn't really thinking that, or I knew it, but I didn't, I guess, internalize it. And so when people started, and really I'm actually seeing it a lot now because I'm in a different headspace, and I'm almost taking more out of it right now. I'm like, man, these people took time out of their day, effort. That must mean some way they resonated or impacted by what we were doing. I'm like, now for me, that's what I'm feeling now. In that moment, I don't think I was feeling it to the degree that I am now, because I was just in a different headspace.
So we'll just play a little bit of this clip where you guys met for the first time.
You have to take care of yourself first before you can take care of somebody else. So I spent a few years taking care of myself, not just a short time, but like a few years, just trying to get myself back to where I could do what I'm doing now. So good on you for doing that. It's really important.
My goal is to be a psychologist. That's my end goal.
Well, you'll if you work hard and you have that goal, I'm sure you'll do it. Yeah, and I encourage you to do it. Awesome.
Yeah.
That's a good answer.
But even in that period, right, this was where the seeds of what we had sowed started to fruit a little bit. It was making space for people and not putting too much pressure on time and distance. And honestly, we're still in touch with Maya and her wonderful family, and she was a big part of this. The other person that I wanted to just quickly highlight is this guy, this kid, Matt.
Yeah, man.
This kid on this clip, he's actually kind of the reason why all of this happened, because he was the reason why Sach and I met at that podcast shoot. If it wasn't for him who called you on as a guest, none of this, it would have happened, but not in this specific way.
Yeah, we wouldn't have met.
And I remember in this moment talking about it, and I wanted to talk about it specifically because it was a really, really low point. The way we started the day, everything that could have gone wrong went wrong. We felt so crappy. But that obstacle became that opportunity. We met Shauna. We started making our way through. We met Maya. And I remember feeling like there's something here. There's something here. Of all the permutations and combinations and cosmic odds of the way things could have played out, and Matt showed up, and it just reminded me of the power of a moment and what every individual has. And when I look back at this time, 5, 10 years, 15 years from now, and when we're doing so much more, raising more money, helping more people, the genesis of all that happened because of this kid. And he's an amazing kid. And I remember thinking in that moment that this feels right. This feels right.
I'm glad you mentioned it that way and framed it that way, because like it's so crazy, man. I had an idea for 5 years, and it my own ego was in my way, right? I had this idea of doing something the way I wanted to do it, and really where the paranoia and friction was actually happening those first few days was my ego. That was like, well, this is what I was planning. This is what I was going to do. This is turning into something different. What the heck? And I think there's some friction there. But I think in hindsight, man, I'm so happy we didn't focus on like performance. We focused on connection and community. I'm really, really pleased with that, because that's what we do. That's what we do every day, even now.
Exactly.
And so, yeah. Super happy.
And these were the seeds of it, right? After this moment, literally on the same day, it's like we started the day one way. We felt completely different by the end of it. Completely different. I remember feeling like we had so much energy. And these are some of the highlights. And I'd love for you to just kind of react to this. Do you remember this lady?
Yeah, man. She it was so trippy, man.
Actually, let's listen to what she said, because I think what she said was really cool.
And then I have been
like just watching his training and just so inspired by this, like run across Canada. So I watched the kickoff, and I've been like, yesterday I'm watching him, like, okay, he's in Vancouver, so he's probably going to be around Abbotsford, but I just got off work and went for my run, and when I came around the corner at the end, like the guys are there, I was like, holy crap, so you guys are right there.
Yeah, what's your name?
I'm Jen.
So Jen showed up, and yeah, she was tracking the run, didn't know where we were, and then looked up. Here we were again, just like Shauna.
Yeah.
And then we had this lovely lady.
Looks like it could be kind of
this
wet.
one.
Maybe not. I just wanted to stop and say I appreciate what you guys are doing. I lost my mom due to mental health, and right
Sorry.
now I just got back together with my ex so I can take him to rehab so we can get the mental health that he needs as well. So I appreciate you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah.
If there's anything that I can do to help, please just let me know. I'm a politician. I ran in the federal election, so I still have all those same connections. I'm trying to work right next to the mental
That would be amazing. Thank you. Do you have her contact? Can you scan?
QR code?
Yeah, if you scan the QR code.
Okay, you know what?
I forget her name, and I'm really sorry that I forgot your name, but she drove off the side of the highway, and she was trying to get through this ditch, and we were like, lady, hold on, we'll come to you. And I remember you were ahead, and I jumped with her in her car, and we were trailing for a little bit, and we had this conversation, and she shared a story of how she lost her mom because of mental health, and she didn't know who we were, just saw the RV and a few people just kind of running, but felt compelled to stop and engage. And what a humbling, awesome feeling. I get like, I'm getting tingles even thinking about it now. And such a contrast from just a couple of hours ago, right?
Yeah, but you know, I think this whole thing was a roller coaster for the first two weeks or so. So amazing moments like that, but then, you know, there were days where we were going down and up and down. It was a roller coaster of emotions until we dialed everything in. And what I mean by that is every single day we were having interactions like this, signs of how we should be pivoting. Where we should be taking this. And so, you know, both of us are kind of thick, I think, and we needed to be reminded day after day after day until we ultimately made those pivots and really finalized what that looks like.
Exactly.
But the first week or so was kind of this, and it was like, whoa, what the hell's going on?
Yeah. I think it was in those moments, specifically what I remember from this day was like being quiet and listening to the signs. And there's something obvious. It isn't random or coincidence that the morning that we were steered in a different direction, suddenly people that were seeking help or needed someone or were searching for us found us. And that to me was as clear as a sign as it can be that this is the direction we need to follow. And I remember that night, the way we ended that night at that RV park where this incredible couple, senior citizens, so we reached super late, like 9:30, drove in, and that guy was like, I can't charge you. Please stay for free. Not just that, we didn't have enough space to sleep. So he let me and Colum sleep inside and have a picture of that night in their little den area that they had. And I remember feeling so grateful that night with the kindness of strangers, just what we experienced just in that one day.
So for you, I got a question for you, man. So in that morning or the first half of the day, you're feeling a certain way, and then it was an entirely different feeling. So you had a range of emotions happen that entire day. Can you illustrate a bit clearer how you felt when you laid your head down that night?
I thank God. I remember saying a little prayer that night, being like, yeah, the road's not clear. We're not really sure what the next steps are. But there are these little crumbs. And we're going to follow those crumbs and try to do our best to be there for people. Because that is at least it seemed in that moment that that's where the meaning was.
So I got another question for you, because you asked me when I was feeling that paranoia and the doubts and all those things, what did I say?
Yeah.
And I said, my mission statement, my mantras, all these things. You had similar experiences, ups and downs, and I was there. I was paying attention. What were you saying? Or did you even say anything to yourself?
I think in those moments, it was like I was just being hyper focused on what do I need to solve for the next hour, right? So it was like, okay, cool. We have this roadblock with the RCMP. What do we need to do? And I was thinking about all the logistics associated with that, playing all the permutations and combinations in my head, being like, okay, if we have to make a big shift, how are we going to message it out? How are we going to communicate this to all our charity partners, to our donors, to our supporters, to our sponsors? What are those consequences going to look like? What's the right balance of like talking to our audience who've been invested in this without jeopardizing the mission? So for me, it wasn't so much so chugging forward in the sense like you were chugging forward of moving that step and covering the distance. For me, my head was more in the space of what does this mean for the overall campaign, and what are the avenues that we need to take, and what are the decisions we need to make just for today and get through that day. But what I realized was I don't have control. Nobody does. What we need to do is shut up and see what the universe is telling us, or what this universe is telling, and it's telling us something.
Mm-hmm.
It was then at that end of that night, I was like, you know what? I don't have control. I'm just going to focus on how we can just help people. That's all we can do. And the rest will just play itself out.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. And I think, at least for me, and you let me know if this was the case for you, I think I leaned into that after a few weeks. Then it really settled in. It's like, okay, whatever this happens. We'll just be fluid and dynamic. We'll be like water.
Yeah,
like
we'll be like water. Yeah. And that's how we ended day 3.
Yeah, man. And listen, I'm super excited now with the next direction that we're going in with the podcast and when we kind of do this, because now we're able to share clips, conversations, stories, and this is what this podcast is about.
Yeah.
It's not about performance. It's not about me. It's about the journey of getting across Canada, the people that we met, the conversations that were had, and the impact that was created, not only for others, but for us.
Yeah.
We were impacted too. So talking about all that, I'm excited, man.
Exactly. So I hope you got something out of episode 5. This is episode 5, day 3.
Okay.
And excited to share how this story starts to unravel.
Yeah, and we still have many, many more weeks to go. So join us here on the long run, where we get to share community, connection, and movement.
Awesome. Good.